欢迎大家来到羊兄 Kopitiam， 就让我来带大家一起去聊时事吧。Hello， 大家好，欢迎大家回到羊兄聊时事。此次周选最关键的战役，也就是国盟对西盟的战役。目前我们知道绿潮来袭对西盟也是一个非常大的威胁。我们今天非常有幸的能够采访到甘榜东姑的候选人，也就是几届这里的 YB 林怡威，对他进行访问哦。其实不管大家说，其实杨兄已经很早认识林怡威了。以前在第一次改朝换代的时候，杨兄曾在内阁担任 fellow 的时候就认识了林怡威。之后在伦敦求学读学士的时候呢，也曾邀请他来伦敦为我们的学生演讲所以这次呢，我们也非常谢谢林怡威 YB 接受杨兄的采访并且也同意了让杨兄对他进行灵魂的拷问啦究竟他能不能接住杨兄所丢出的招今天请大家追随杨兄导步走进甘榜东姑对 YB 林怡威，也就是当地行动党候选人进行访问吧。走 ，Let's go。
甘榜东姑的选区华裔选民占超过75%，而这里也是行动党强区上届大选以狂风扫落叶的姿态呢，以70%以上的多数票赢下了该一席。但是因为绿潮的来袭，行动党也不敢掉以轻心。这次杨兄非常有幸能够采访到当地的行动党候选人林怡威除了是想问他对绿潮的意见之外呢，也会灵魂拷问他关于为何行动党能妥协原则跟巫统合作对扎希的意见，还有应对绿潮的方法等问题。这次Kopitiam专访，请大家随着杨兄的镜头走进甘榜东姑采访当地行动党候选人林怡威吧。
好的，这次杨兄真的非常有幸能够采访到当地行动党的候选人 YB 林怡威。
Hello， 大家好。
好的，今天呢，林怡威我们真的很感谢他能够接受我的采访啦当然杨兄来这里也不是客气的就是要对他进行拷问啦。你准备好了吗？
好，准备。
Okay, YB, thank you for accepting our interview. Could you just introduce yourself a bit to our audience in front of the camera?
Okay, hi, I'm Lim Yiwei. I'm the Pakatan Harapan candidate for Dun Kampung Tunku, which is in Petaling Jaya. So if you all know like SS2 and also Burger Lab in C Park, that is part of my kawasan.
Right, YB has been here for I think one penga, right, as an adun. So could you tell us more about what have you done for Kampung Tunku constituency?
Right, so starting from the basics, Kampung Tunku is quite an old area in PJ. So one of the areas that we focus a lot on is upgrading the basic infrastructure, and also taking into account that Malaysia already reached the aging society status. We have approached infrastructure upgrades in such a way that it accommodates for the aging society and also the disabled. So when we talk about upgrading, like let's say traffic or sidewalks and all, one of the things that we recently finished is actually a whole like pedestrian walkway and the lights network in C Park near KFC C Park. Yeah. Right. Because we want everyone to be able to like walk safely walkable and it's accessible for OKUs as well. So that's on the basic level. We've done quite a bit of work in also the schools, upgrading the infrastructure, solving flood problems because for me education is very important. And on the social level, we have done several programs with regards to like job entrepreneurship. Our biggest program with entrepreneurship is the PJ Startup Festival, which is already 4 years old and quite fast, 4 years old.
PJ Startup Festival.
Yeah. PJ Startup Festival. And we have several initiatives for B40 women, and also youth. But one of the parts that I like to do with youth is we have internships on a rolling basis, so we expose youth to like politics and government.
Oh wow, spicy.
Yeah. You also, I think you can still intern with me because you're under 25.
I will consider about that. Right.
Yeah. And one of the areas also I like to reach out through youth is through sports.
Sports?
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of sport that you want to reach out to?
So mostly I deal with rugby. Yeah,
rugby?
Because I used to play rugby like long time ago. So I'm quite involved with the Selangor rugby team. But we also have a few like tournament series to our name. So we got the Kampung Tunku futsal competition, which is already 2 years old, and also an indoor frisbee tournament, which is 2 years old. But for the frisbee, it's quite cool. Every year we have about more than 500 participants from actually all over the country. Yeah.
Right. So could you tell our audience more about yourself and to talk about your background as well as your experience serving in Kampung Tunku? Could you share more about that?
Okay, so actually I'm an Ipoh girl, born from a family of many teachers. So father, mother, aunt, grandmother are also teachers. My brother-in-law is also a teacher.
Right.
Somehow I ended up being a politician. But
no.
Jokes aside, I studied until Form 6 in Ipoh. Then I got a scholarship to study at the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. So majoring in finance. Got a business degree majoring in finance. Started working there, and long story short, in 2014 the umbrella movement took place in Hong Kong and basically triggered existential crisis. Yeah.
So is it because of that inspired you to join politics in Malaysia?
It's one of the catalysts. Basically, like, I had an existential crisis where I was thinking, like, do I want to stay on in Hong Kong? Is there anything I would like to see improve in Malaysia, and where can I contribute? And then the next catalyst actually was YB Lim Guan coming to Hong Kong to give a talk.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so he gave a talk about, like, why we want our foreign talents to come back to Malaysia, so on and so forth. And at the end of the talk, I actually asked him, I was like, YB, really great speech, but do you in your heart really believe that Malaysia has hope?
And did he?
Yeah, and then he looked at me and he said, if you don't come back, how you know? So you can say, like, challenge accepted.
That's a trap, man.
Yeah, it is.
It trapped you right now.
Yeah, for 7 years now.
In DAP. Okay, so talking about that, what really, when you come back, right? So that time I remember was a BN time. Was it tough for you to join politics at first place? And what were the risks that you encountered in the first place?
Well, I think my family was quite concerned because one thing was they thought by sending me to Hong Kong, I can have a good career there. And then when I told them that I was coming back, they were like, hey, you got a job in an MNC or bank, and they kind of super excited.
Finance big, high salaries some more, but you gave up for politics.
I was like, no, I'm coming back for politics. And then I remember, like, the call was like, crick. They were silent for a while. Then they're like, okay, politics, which party do you want to join? And I was like, oh, DAP. And then I was like, more silence. Yeah.
Okay.
And then they were like, okay, DAP, who you want to work for? And I was like, Tony Pua. After that, like, they shocked for a while. And then suddenly they were like, how could you come back? Let's go on like that. Okay. But I think there was a very real concern because that time, like, opposition faced a lot of challenges, including some of our leaders have gone through, like, ISA, Ops Lalang, and there was not a lot of space for the opposition to
contest.
Yeah, contest also,
well.
but also to put out our ideas. Before the rise of social media, you depended on mainstream media, and mainstream media TV channels, for example, like TV1 or TV3, would not put out news about our opposition leaders unless it's negative.
True.
So it was a very hard playing ground to go into. But I also have to say that I'm one of the more privileged generation coming into politics, because I am the post-2008 generation. I joined in 2016. It's the pre-2008.
Just in time for the political change.
In a way, yes. Yeah. But we also, I think we realized that we build on the struggle of the pre-2008 generation, where they never imagined they can, win any state government. And then from 2008 until, between 2013 and then 2018, it was still a lot of, I think, a learning process also for everyone.
Right. So let's fast forward to your manifesto. Today you have finished serving as the Adun for Kampung Tungku. So moving forward, what do you want to offer to the residents of Kampung Tungku?
First of all, I think we want to continue on the base that we have built, which is, again, upgrading infrastructure, preparing the community and building resilience for the next 5-10 years. So we talk about aging society. We also talk about social protections. And also, I think, building a good community support network that is quite missing in our city life.
Right.
Yeah. So we have, like, all these, little community-based groups, which are good for socializing, especially among our senior citizens, so they don't feel alone. But I think we in this area, if I were to become the adun again, we want to focus on also like sort of like training and upskilling them
Upskilling.
the communities also to tackle issues such as domestic violence. What do we do when, let's say, a community member says, oh, I'm being beaten up every day, or we hear a neighbor, there sounds to be like fighting in the house every day, or mental health issues. So we want to conduct more trainings so that the community is also equipped to advise each other and support each other in cases like that.
Sounds like you have done quite a lot for Kampung Tungku. Wow, what an impressive list of achievement that you have just mentioned. Okay, I think people are quite interested about the election as well, especially this election. So it's time for some grilling. Are you ready for that?
Okay. Fire.
Okay, people have been criticizing DAP for working with UMNO. For so many years, UMNO has been, saying that BAP is, bad and everything, vice versa. And today, you guys are working with UMNO in the governments. How do you respond to their criticism?
I think one thing we had to realize that from the 15th general election, no party or no coalition emerged as a clear winner to form the majority and to form the government. So plus minus we are in this situation where every coalition have like tak lebih tak kurang, and then after the results are out, it is upon the coalitions to negotiate and to see who can command the majority to form the government. And here we are today, with the unity government comprising of 19 parties.
Great coalition, some more.
It's a lot. Like quite tautia, I think, to manage the differences. But I think this is a process of maturing of our democracy, because actually, if you see in other countries, forming of the government, the negotiations between coalitions are actually done after the elections. It's the first time for us, but True. If you see in other democracies, it is done that way. And I think it's a learning process, again, a maturing process for all of us. And also, I think it's a good opportunity for politics to come back to the center, to become more moderate, because previously, like you said rightly, I'm no criticize DAP, and then some of the things are not true also. And similarly also DAP,
you guys have been criticizing them as well,
we are each other's like boogeyman, that kind of thing. But within the unity government, I think it's a good chance for both sides to come back to the center. And if we criticize each other, it's because of a policy issue, or maybe it's also a political ideology issue, but not because you bad, I good, that kind of thing. You say everything you're wrong and everything I'm right. That kind of outlook. Yeah.
Right, but the problem is that people saying that maturing democracy by compromising principles, I think including you have been criticizing UMNO before the change of government as well. Now when you're in government working with them, you're compromising your principle. What's your response to that?
Actually, I think maturing democracy is about consensus building. And that means understanding that we will not get everything we want in the period of time that we want. So like I said, this is a maturing process where suddenly, we're in this government of disparate coalitions, and we have to negotiate, the space and what we want to achieve. So I think the approach that we are taking now is kind of like step by step, taking some of the low-hanging but also important fruits together. For example, like one area where we can see quite eye to eye, and this one also I have to praise the minister for it, is regards to protection of children. So our law minister YB Azalina, that's Sri Azalina Othman, she's always been quite progressive on like women and child issues. And although the unity government is 7 months old, we managed to push through extra protections under the Sexual Offences Against Children Act.
Alright.
Yeah, so tightening punishments on child sexual abuses, and also tightening protection for child witnesses. I think so these are things that are quite important that were successfully pushed through our society.
I understand, but I have to go back to the main topic. Now you know that people have been criticizing the Deputy Prime Minister with 40 cases. He is in charge as a DPM, but now DAP is working with them. But how do you address that? About compromising your principle. How do you respond to that?
Let the court decide.
Let the court decide. Okay. That's all? Okay lah.
Yeah.
Okay, then next question. Now, Gerakan, which is your opponent, has been criticizing you, the party opponent, for creating the green wave. Have you heard about Dominic Lau a few days ago said he never heard about the green wave? It is DAP who created this narrative in the public. What is your response to that?
What's his problem with the narrative of green wave? I think that is the first question we should ask him.
Okay.
Because in every political discourse of course, to illustrate a trend or so, then analysts come up with a term and all.
Okay.
So the term that came about from PIU, GE15 was the green wave, because people generally did not expect PAS to actually achieve their target of 40 seats. Because they declared 40 seats. Everyone is thought it's impossible. Then they really reached 40 seats. And also, to be honest, we were kind of overwhelmed on TikTok.
Yes.
I think PN did a really crazy good job on TikTok. Crazy good. So
how do you address that shortcoming?
Our team has to be more chang on TikTok and all. Wave thing, it's a term.
Yes.
It's something that did happen. But I feel like, I don't know, Dominic Lau for saying that is kind of like a bit petty and irrelevant. But actually, people should be questioning him on why is he enabling
the green wave.
Yes.
Okay, fair.
We saw what happened at the Ceramah that day when he went and he was, told to go away. So I feel like he actually has more to answer to. People can say like, DAP is so-called compromising principles and all. But at least within this coalition, we are still, I would say like fairly equal partners. Every party has a voice in this coalition, which may explain why sometimes things take time because you need to negotiate and all between 19 parties. But look at how Gerakan is being treated by PAS. It is embarrassing. I feel second-hand embarrassment for watching him.
Here comes to the things about internal negotiation, since you mentioned that, right? But somebody say that DAP, before they become the government, they are quite vocal about a lot of things. But since they become the government, now they talk about, we have to keep it within ourselves. So isn't it a bit self-contradictory in your opinion?
Not at all. We have never, stopped our representatives from voicing out. Cuma, I think now that we are in government, there are some ways where to solve the problem, you can actually look at the agencies first. Yeah.
Okay.
So, for example, like last time, domestic violence. Go back to domestic violence because it's an area that I deal with. When we were not in government, then what we can do is we raise awareness, through media statement, or we educate our community about it. And you like, okay, menyuruh Kementerian Wanita to do something about it, or like reach out to the police. But now we are in government. As the minister and all, we can call the agencies together. We can call the police. We can call the ministry staff together and say, look, this is a loophole in the system, where we see, for example, maybe certain cases are not treated equally, or maybe, like the bedside manner in Balai is not done properly. Cases are not being logged properly, for example, or let's say there is no coordination within the agencies. Let's say someone reports to the Balai, then they want to get a restraining order or interim protection order. That has to be also like, welfare department has to come in, and then they go to the magistrate, so on and so forth. So when you're in government, you have the opportunity to do that, to call all the agencies together and fix things on a systemic level.
Okay.
So that is the difference. The objective is the same. The methods are a bit different.
Last tough question okay, is that MCA has done the same in the past, but why now DAP need to change to this method instead of like being vocal about all issues? I
would say the difference between MCA and DAP in the way, like vocal outside, that perception like vocal outside, not so vocal inside, is that DAP has never stopped trying to improve things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay lah.
Yeah.
Okay lah.
So that is what I can say lah. That you can see that our ministers are doing something. For example, Anthony Loke, he's super productive for a minister. Hannah Yeoh also, she is tackling the tough things in sports. For example, like I was quite glad that she took a strong stand against the case where the Bola Tampar coach actually tampar the player, that kind of thing. So although our methods have changed, our objective is still, it still remains
the same lah.
Yeah.
Okay lah, coming to the last part of the interview and more relaxing a bit, okay? Okay, good.
Not that panas.
That panas oh, okay, maybe I need to improve my questioning skill next time. Okay, now coming to the last part of the interview lah. This time is going to be a tough election, as you know. So how do you see this election in Selangor lah? How many seats are you guys expecting to win in realistically?
Okay, this might be a bit tough one because I would like us to get a good, good, safe, steady majority out of the 56.
But the realistic estimation?
To be honest, I can't really tell.
Okay.
Because one of the things that we are concerned with is pengundi atas pagar, especially among the Malays and the young Malays.
Could you explain a bit about pengundi atas pagar?
Basically, people who are undecided lah. So like
swing votes?
Not really swing votes. Like
just that they are still deciding between.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like among the Malay community, some of them are a bit hesitant to vote for PH, and then they don't necessarily want BN.
Is it because of ini semua salah DAP?
A bit lah. I mean, all the like the previous political baggage, the history.
So you have encountered this lah.
It's still has it. Like for us among like political players and maybe the leaders, we accepted that we are in unity government and we have to forge the next 5 years together. But for people who don't really follow politics or they know a little bit on and off, one thing is it can be confusing.
Okay.
Second thing is because they have already listened to so much news, like for example like DAP very terrible or so or like UMNO like this. So there is a hesitance to
vote for you guys lah.
Yeah, to be like super unreserved in supporting PH or BN. We acknowledge that they are also not fully sold to PAS or Perikatan National because of how they manage the COVID pandemic. So that's why they are atas pagar. It's like no one coalition is favored among the other, and these are the ones that sometimes we kind of need to be concerned about, because this category also, which I think a good majority of them are like the 30-year-old to maybe 45, those who are working, day in, day out. They don't come to Ceramas. They don't really come to Adun office or MP's office. So we don't have a very clear gauge of what are they thinking. And this will be the ones I think that have an influence on the results.
May I know, is this your biggest challenge, or do you encounter any big challenges during this campaign, especially in the wake of the Green Wave?
It depends which area you are campaigning with. So like for Kampung Tunku, we are still quite okay lah, I would say.
Comfortable lah. So
okay lah, okay. But people also still need to come out and vote lah. Don't take for granted.
Okay.
In the wake of the Green Wave,
yes,
I would say that among certain Malay communities, they are more was of us lah. So what I think the strategy that we need to go with lah, and the assurance we need to give those particular segments of community is that actually we will jaga everyone lah, that the kerajaan will not like neglect one segment for the other. When some friends, I mean like some people like leaders and all, we were talking about the Green Wave and how do we tackle it and so on and so forth. And I like to put forward this example. There was once I was on TikTok, I was scrolling through, and I think it was a video of one of our Malay female leaders. And it's one of those who tak pakai tudung lah. So, when you scroll through those comments, you kind of expect the comments to say like, ayah ni tak pakai tudung, tak payah cakap, that kind of thing. But when I scroll through the comments, then a lot of them said, tak apalah, ekonomi teruk pun tak apa, asalkan agama nombor satu. So
really?
Yeah.
Okay,
and when I look at these profiles, these are all like real people, not like cyber troopers or whatever. So I was trying to get to the bottom of that thinking, and someone quite senior outside the political circle but still in government said to me, might want to consider this thing lah. In a situation where things are uncertain, like uncertain economy, uncertain political situation, uncertain jobs, and so on and so forth, people will tend to seek God.
Okay lah.
So as a government, I think if we want to tackle part of this green wave, is that we have to offer people some certainty. We have to offer people stability of jobs, their families, their livelihoods.
So you mean you can offer all of that, right?
No.
Then?
But we are working on it.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it will be too much to say that, we can offer all of that. But we are a work in progress. And this government, I believe this government under Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim is doing its best.
Okay lah. Okay, the last thing lah, about what do you want to say to the audience in front of the camera and what do you want to tell them coming this election?
So for voters in Selangor and the other 5 states, Kedah, Negeri Sembilan, Penang, Kelantan and Terengganu, 12th of August, please come out and vote. It takes 5 minutes, but it can have a big impact on the next 5 years. And vote perpaduan. Yeah.
Okay, thank you YB 林威 thank you for your time. 好的，今天呢非常高兴能够采访到 YB 林威，而且是非常深度的采访啊，也问他关于很多当地的问题，还有全国政局的问题，也当然包括非常严峻的拷问的问题呢。究竟大家对他的这个回答满不满意呢？大家又针对他的这些一个点呢，欢迎大家都在下面留言给我知道哦。这些杨兄聊时事的访问呢，也来到了尾声。如果你是喜欢这内容的朋友呢，请不要吝啬订阅、点赞还有分享出去，因为你们支持是对我最大的鼓励哦。我们就下期再会了，拜拜。